What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Geek Street, where the street speaks. Once again, my name is Jazz, but I don't have any geek buddies over here today. As you all know, it's Deepawali weekend, so we are quite busy and everything. Because if you guys didn't realize, all of us here in Geek Street, we are Indians. I have a few of our friends busy with Deepawali shopping and everything. And fortunately, I'm the only person that's available to do the recording, but it's okay, it doesn't matter. But what's really sad is because the reason I'm doing this recording today is to talk about the most recent and the last episode of Loki Season 2, which is episode 6. So yeah, Loki episode 2 has just ended with their final episode, which is the 6th episode, and boy was it a good ending. I'm not going to go much into that yet, but I just want to let you guys know lah. So it'll be only me doing this explainer video, explaining to you guys what actually happened throughout this episode. And I know there was a lot of discussion and there was a lot of talking that was going on. So I'm here to explain and help you guys to understand what is actually going on with the current MCU series. And before I go ahead, I just want to let you guys know this is a major spoiler, because of course it's the final episode where everything falls into place. So please, if you guys haven't watched Loki episode 6, please make sure to head on to Disney Plus Hotstar and watch that episode, and only then come and watch our video over here. So as you guys know, our YouTube page is The Geek Street. Okay, make sure if you're looking for a page, don't type Geek Street, because that's a whole nother channel. We are The Geek Street, so please make sure to like and subscribe. And also hit that bell icon at the bottom if you love the content that we do and you want us to do more like this. Miss Marvel is out, so we are going to be doing a recording for Miss Marvel as well, so make sure to stay tuned. We also have our Instagram page, which is thegeekstreet.my. Make sure to follow us there, as they do daily updates on anything Marvel, anything Star Wars, or basically any blockbuster movies. You can get your news over there. And we also have our Discord community. Link is in the description below, so please make sure to follow us, as we have a following of our community members where we basically talk any blockbuster movies. Yep. So if there's nothing else, let's not waste any time. Let's jump into the explainer of Loki Season 2 Episode 6. So before we go ahead with the explainer, I just want to let you guys know how I feel about this entire episode. I mean, this episode was actually 54 minutes long. So that is 54 minutes long of absorption. I can understand why this episode was long, because they had to wrap things up. I know you guys felt like maybe the previous episodes were a little bit of a filler. Although filler, they were still important and core episodes, I would say. And especially with the way episode 6 ended, I think it was such a good ending for the season 2. And I think they did right by Loki's character, about his character development, his story arc, and how everything just came to one conclusion. And it was such an epic conclusion. Until now, I tell you, other series like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, they still can't beat a series like Loki, because when you guys see the conclusion, you're like, oh my god. And if you guys don't understand what the conclusion means, that is why I'm here to do the explainer. Okay, so yeah, that's how I feel about the episode. Now let's jump into the explainer. This episode 6, it's called Glorious Purpose. So if you guys didn't realize, episode 1 from the first season, where Loki was first captured, that episode was also called Glorious Purpose. Why Glorious Purpose is because if you guys notice, in the first season, it was more about Loki trying to dominate the world and trying to take his place in the throne, because he is doing something like his cause is a glorious purpose. His purpose is a glorious purpose, but his goal was wrong. His glorious purpose was to dominate. But then you see him humbling himself throughout the storyline, knowing that the TV is larger than whatever he was fighting for with the Infinity Stones and everything, right? And then this final episode is showing this is Loki's true glorious purpose. The sacrifice that he made was so glorious, and his purpose was so important that it saved countless lives. When I say countless lives, I'm not exaggerating, but he basically saved the entire multiverse. It means without Loki, you wouldn't have this thing. So yeah, that's why the episode is called Glorious Purpose. And yeah, so the moment the episode starts, you actually see the Marvel title card, right? So the title card, it starts in a reverse way. It was actually quite interesting because we've seen how Marvel do different versions of the title card. You have like Marvel's What If. You have this animated kind of title card. You have the title card from Loki, I think episode 4, where it just breaks into the sacred timeline, and now you have this whole reverse thing. It means the Marvel title card that we're so familiar with, it was just in a reverse manner, basically to show that like the whole plot line of the story, basically Loki keep going to the past and to the past and to the past and just keep repeating everything. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. So basically the episode starts with Loki time slipping, but it's not the usual time slipping that we saw in the first episode of this season. So basically in the first episode of the season, Loki was time slipping, but he was time slipping in places of time where he used to be, right? So whenever he goes into time, there's two versions of himself. So it's like, that you don't meet yourself, and it creates a paradox and that kind of thing. But this version of time slipping, the second version, he is basically time slipping within himself. So it's like he's one entity and he's just jumping in time. So he's experiencing the past, present, and future all within himself. You get it? So it's like if it's me, I'm talking to you, and suddenly I just come with a realization like, oh, this is what I did in the future, and this is what I must do. So it's that kind of concept lah. Basically is that. So, and they didn't waste any time. Immediately they just showed that Loki, he just goes on numerous loops of going back to the past just to assist Victor Timely to get on the gangway and to put in the throughput multiplier to expand the temporal loom. So he's doing it so many times just for a very small minor reason, just to do it faster. And then after that he realizes, no, I gotta do it earlier. So he just kept going on and on and on until he memorized every single thing that he should say that will make the situation right, until the fact that he had to go and pull Victor Timely out of the war room with Miss Minutes and Ravonna Renslayer. I mean, if he said the wrong thing, they would have fought with him and everything. But I guess he knew the right thing to say. That he told Miss Minutes that I know you're angry and you're hurt, but we need Timely to fix something ASAP. So yeah, they go ahead and try. And the saddest thing was the fact that Victor Timely had to die so many times that even he didn't realize that he was actually dying. Yeah, so like, can you imagine, like I just come to you and say that, hey, you've actually died 1,000 times, a very painful and excruciating death, but you just don't know it. Yeah, so can you imagine how sad is that? I mean, at first I had my suspicions about Victor Timely, like, this guy has some hidden intentions that he wants to take advantage of the temporal loom, but I just feel pity for this guy because he just kept dying and you just keep seeing his flesh just stripping out and stripping away with his bones and everything. But yeah, that's the sacrifice that he was making. And in the end, when Loki decided to go further back in time, he goes to the part where Victor Timely meets Ouroboros for the first time. And he did the introduction. Yeah, you guys wrote each other's books. Basically that whole Ouroboros thing, the circle of time thing. But yeah, so that's the interesting part when Loki asks Ouroboros how long does it take to learn what Ouroboros know. They say centuries, and Loki actually spent centuries learning about this thing. So I know it just appeared like a text, right? Centuries later, it may look like SpongeBob, like a few years later. I can't do that French accent. Few hours later. But the weight of this thing, it shows that he actually spent hundreds and hundreds of years just trying to figure out how to fix this thing. So it's like multiple lifetimes of us, like we can just from young grow old and die and live our lives, and he's just over there trying to figure out how to fix this. So that itself was a huge sacrifice. I know it doesn't impact in anything because his time is not wasted because he's traveling back in time and nobody's time is wasted. But to know that the effort that he was putting and the time that he was spending, I think if it's us, we probably try for maybe like for a few days and would have just given up, like, what, just let the timeline collapse. I don't care. Let's just die. But yeah, he did a lot of that. He sacrificed, and this is the building of, not to say building, but like an expansion, a revelation of Historia of how much he's willing to sacrifice compared to the first version of himself that we so dearly knew from Avengers and Thor and such. So Loki has seen this output so many times for hundreds of years that when he was actually guiding Victor Timely up on the gangway, and everyone was so worried and so scared, but Loki was the only person who was so calm and collected. He was like, you know what, you can do this one step at a time. Make sure not to put the throughput multiplier on the floor because the radiation waves will push it away. And he was just so calm because he's seen this a lot of times, like I mentioned, right? So like, can you imagine, you're just so tired, so you're like, okay, you just gotta do this, you gotta do that, and you'll be fine. So that itself shows it's like a subtle thing people don't really notice, but you gotta give kudos to Tom Hiddleston for acting out, portraying out that thing, because when you understand the heaviness of what he went through and why he sounds like that, I think you appreciate it more rather than just simply like, let's do this, let's do that. Even after thousands of years, I'm still in a very panicky state. But yeah, I just wanted to give kudos to that part. It's I think it's very good script writing, very good portrayal of character and tone. So yep. Either way, despite all of that, the loom still explodes, and I think this was like a foreshadowing moment because when the loom explodes, and they were figuring out what happened, Timely said it's a scaling problem. So it's like no matter how much you try to scale it up, it will still not work because there are infinite branches of timeline. Basically, infinite branches of multiverse. This is something I actually wanted to discuss with Harvin, but he's not here. So just to let you guys know, in our previous episode 4 discussion, me and Harvin actually had this debate on whether what is the time multiverse, right? So my concept was every branch timeline is a multiverse, but Harvin's concept was in that one sacred timeline, there's multiverse in there. So in every branches, there's multiverses. But for me, I still stick with every branch timeline is a multiverse. If you want to say it in another way, every branch timeline is an alternate reality. What is alternate reality? Basically a reality where it's different from now. So if maybe I'm eating an ice cream and then I decided to, then I decided I didn't want to eat an ice cream. I decided to go and eat a burger instead. That's an alternate reality. So there's a reality where I'm eating a burger, there's a reality where I'm eating an ice cream. So this branches up. That's why you have branched timelines. And these branched timelines, so alternate realities, and then that's how the multiverse happens. So there's one version of me that loves ice cream so much that I'm willing to make peace and become the president of eating ice creams, and then there's a version of me that loves eating burgers so much that I would kill the entire world and become a dictator just because I love burgers. So there's a multiversal me, a me that loves ice cream, and a me that is a destroyer because I love burgers. I mean, I'm putting it in simpler layman terms lah, but that's what I wanted to say, because when Victor Tanguy mentions about infinite timelines, so we know that basically that is the multiverse, and later on I will explain more about this whole thing lah. So yeah, why I say it's foreshadowing is because if you guys notice in the previous episodes and even in this episode, when we see the scale model of the temporal loom, Ouroboros temporal loom, you see the signboard that says not to scale. So I guess it's like a foreshadowing saying that, you know, this thing is not to scale. And yeah, you think the temporal loom can hold all the branch timelines, but actually, no, there's infinite number of timelines. You can't hold all of them. And you can only hold one timeline, which is the only thing that makes sense. But yeah, so Loki decides that, you know, he has to go all the way back because the root of the problem started with Sylvie. Sylvie murdered He Who Remains. So the moment she murdered He Who Remains, the timelines started branching, right? That's when we started getting all of this multiverse coming out. So he went to that period of time, and of course he's been trying to stop Sylvie from murdering He Who Remains. Of course, in that also he did multiple times, trying until he asked He Who Remains, like, you know, why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you stopping her from killing you? And then, you know, and He Who Remains explains that that you think I'm going to let her kill me that easily? Everything is planned. Everything is paved. He says that he even knows that Loki is time slipping, and who do you think weaved that path? So this is sort of like, you can see the bigger agenda for He Who Remains, because when you watch when you watch season 1, the ending of season 1, He Who Remains actually says he only knows about the future, the past, present, and future up to a certain point, which was at the point where Loki and Sylvie encounters him. And then he says that after this, he doesn't know what's happening. He can't predict what's going to happen, and then that's when Sylvie kills him. But now, over here, he says he knows everything. He knows the fact that Sylvie was going to kill him. He knows the fact that he's going to get reincarnated. So when he said reincarnated, meaning that he knows that if Sylvie, I have a friend called Sophie, and that's why it comes instantly. But yeah, if he knows that Sylvie was going to kill him, and then this whole multiversal timelines branching happens, that temporal loom goes into haywire, and they have to find the root of the problem, and that's when Loki will come to stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains. So basically, that's his reincarnation. You kill me now, you're going to come back and revive me later again. So yeah, so he was very confident with that lah. And so he also reveals that the temporal loom, it still works. Okay, so when we see it getting destroyed, it wasn't actually being destroyed, but it was more like it couldn't hold the branches together, so it just sort of like expanded, right? It got destroyed and expanded, but not obliterated, I would say. But this shockwave actually destroys the TVA. But although destroying the TVA, the temporal loom will still work, okay? Because it is just a failsafe to delete all of the other branches and only keep the sacred timeline. So whatever that Loki was fighting for, whatever that they were doing, whatever time traveling that Loki was doing for centuries, it was actually proven to be pointless lah. I would say, yeah, it's proven to be pointless because in the end, everything gets destroyed and only the sacred timeline will be protected, no matter how much they try. But yeah, so despite all of that, Loki, despite traveling through time so many times, that he actually learned how to control time. So basically, he's sort of like a Kang variant himself, like a version, I would say. Because I remember me and the guys, we actually came up with a theory back in season 1 that what if Loki is a version of He Who Remains, a variant of He Who Remains. Yeah. So basically a Loki variant, but that didn't play out. So He Who Remains is a Kang variant. But the fact that Loki mastered all of the knowledge and power to manipulate with time, I would say he's somewhat similar to a variant of He Who Remains. Not a direct genetical variant, but in terms of experience and power-wise lah. But yeah, so despite all of that, he still had he learned all of that. So he couldn't let it go. He couldn't leave it to two choices, right? Because He Who Remains, like how he provided two choices back in season 1. So the choices that he provided is either you kill me and let the timelines branch and an infinite amount of his variants will come and there will be a multiversal war, or you don't kill me but you take over taking care of the TVA and ensuring the sacred timeline stays safe and there are no branch timelines. So these are the two options that he provided to Sylvie and Loki. But now, because of how things have played out and how things have changed, knowing that Sylvie will never take up the offer of maintaining the TVA, so this is the offer that he provided to Loki instead, right? So it was either you kill sorry, I lost my train of thoughts. Again, the same thing. Either you kill me and you get a multiversal war with multiple versions of me. Or you destroy the temporal loom. Yeah, not kill him, but you destroy the temporal loom. And if you destroy the temporal loom, it won't keep the sacred timeline safe, and there'll be a branch of multiple timelines and there'll be a multiversal war and everything gets destroyed. So no matter what you do, everything gets destroyed. Or you kill Sylvie, that will prevent her from killing me. So if you kill Sylvie, I will continue to take care of this thing, me and you. So he's just changing the deal. But why Loki didn't want to go with any of the deal was because, one, he'll never kill Sylvie because he's in love with Sylvie and Sylvie is also his best friend. So he'll never go for that option. And why he won't go for destroying the temporal loom option is because if he destroys the temporal loom, even though they have like a short period of safe time, although the timelines are branching out, the TVA still gets destroyed. His friends still die and he doesn't want to lose any of them. So from a person who was very selfish, now he cares about the people around him. So he couldn't take any of these two options. So with that weight, he didn't know what to do. I mean, come on, can you imagine if you are in that place, you either this or that, either way you lose. And that's the same thing He Who Remains tell him, either way you lose. So that's why he decides to go back to his friends and ask them what to do. So he goes back to the scene from season 1 where Loki was first interrogated by Mobius, and he asks Mobius, if you are in this kind of situation, what would you do? And it's sad because Mobius explained a story of his younger self, right? Saying that they were supposed to prune a variant, but the variant was an 8-year-old boy, and he was responsible for 5,000 deaths, but throughout time. But he couldn't do it, and because of that, a lot of TVA Minutemen died, and Ravonna Renslayer had to come and prune the boy. So it's about choosing your burden. That's what Mobius says. So the whole running theme for this entire season is about choosing your burden, carrying your burden. You can see since the beginning when Sylvie doesn't want to save the TVA and she just wants to live in her branch timeline, knowing that the branch timeline is at risk of a multiversal war. She still wanted to live that life because it was her wanting. But the heavier burden was, the bigger picture was that if you don't do anything, everything gets destroyed either way. So Loki has to make the hardest decision and the most difficult decisions of it all. So when if you remember the episode where Sylvie and Loki were talking in the automat, basically the cafeteria with all of the key lime pies, Sylvie tells Loki, like, either way we have to play gods, and Loki says we are gods. So this episode shows that he takes up the fact that he is a god seriously. So as a god, what is he supposed to do? And that is why he asked his friends, because he doesn't want to make a selfish decision. He wants to make a decision that gets a blessing from everyone. So basically Mobius says that you have to choose your burden. He thanks Mobius, and Mobius' timeline gets erased because at the same time the timelines were getting destroyed, right? The branch timelines. And then he goes over to Sylvie and he pauses time, and then he tells Sylvie that whatever he tries still ends up getting destroyed. So his only option was to kill her. And and she asked him to go ahead. No, she didn't tell him to go ahead, because if he kills her, the sacred timeline is restored, but there's no free will. So it's either there's no free will or you give free will, but everything gets destroyed. So what Sylvie says is, either way, just let everyone die fighting. Don't control anyone's free will. And she mentions that you're just going to replace one nightmare with another. And then that's when it clicked in Loki's head. So rather than replacing a nightmare, do the replacement, but with a better one. So that's the biggest sacrifice. So you can't kill he who remains. You can't kill the person. You can't kill who controls the branch timeline, but you can replace that person. But you have to make the big sacrifice. So that's when he decided, and then he let that timeline get destroyed. And that's when he comes back to the present time, and then he decides that he's not going to ask Victor Timely to go onto the gangway, but he was going to destroy the temporal loom. So he destroys the temporal loom, but once it gets destroyed, sacred timeline is still there, but there are destroyed as in a way where there is no fail-safe. So basically, it doesn't even restore the sacred timeline. It just obliterates the temporal loop. So when obliterates, everything is just hanging there, there's no sacred timeline around. So when he steps out onto the gangway and when he grabs each thread, so all of these threads, they are remnants of the sacred timeline. So basically they give a simpler representation of how the sacred timeline looks like, right? So they are like threads, but all of these threads are dead. So they're all dark and black. But Loki, when he gives his magic, he's reviving these timelines. But if you notice, after he lets go, the magic disappears. And when he grabs the other one, the magic comes. When he lets go, it disappears. So he can't maintain the magic, but when he holds them, he can make sure that the branch timeline survives. Basically, the multiverse survives. So that's when he cuts a hole in space and time, and he goes back to the end of time where the citadel was now destroyed. And it was such a painful scene, a very painful and very tear-jerking scene, I would say. I almost cried because of the sacrifice that he was making. His glorious purpose. he found his glorious purpose. And he even tells Sylvie when he's leaving, he said, I know what kind of God I have to be for you. So when he says for you, it's not only for Sylvie, but for everyone. So rather than being a God that wants to dominate and rule over every living being, he wants to be the God that saves every living being there. So when he pulls all of the timeline together, and then when he walks up towards the citadel, and then he grows his horns, so this time he's Loki the god. No more Loki the TV variant, no more Loki the mischievous second prince, no more Loki the villain from Avengers, but he's Loki the god. God of what? No more God of mischievousness, but God of the multiverse. Why God of multiverse? Because, like, he took up that role and he actually sat at the end of time. So he's basically doing what He Who Remains was doing, but He Who Remains his job was to make sure the sacred timeline was running fine. That running in check, running stable, and nothing is branched out. But what Loki did, he allowed every single free will to be there, let it all branch out, and I will hold them together so that nothing goes out of the way. So that you don't need a temporal loom to hold everything and destroy everything, but I will hold it and ensure all of these universes are alive and running. And it was so beautiful the way they represented this entire thing was when they show how all the branches were weaving. He's weaving them with his own hands, and it just weaves into a giant tree. So a giant tree, for those of you fans of Norse mythology and fans of Thor movie, if you guys notice in the first Thor film, Thor actually explains about Yggdrasil. It's really hard to pronounce Yggdrasil, but Yggdrasil is basically the world tree in Norse mythology. If you guys play God of War, I think you will have a much more very better understanding of that. So Yggdrasil is basically the world tree in Norse mythology. In Thor, this world tree holds all 9 realms. Okay, so 9 realms. You have like Jotunheim, Elfenheim, Niflheim, and then you have Midgard. So Midgard is Earth. So Midgard is the middle realm, and then you have all these 8 realms branched out into 3, right? So when Loki was holding on to the multiverse, basically it means the Yggdrasil that Loki created is way bigger than Yggdrasil in Earth version. Because the Earth version is just holding 9 realms, but the 3 that Loki created is holding the entire multiverse. Basically, every single branch timeline is a multiverse. It's a whole universe by itself because of an alternate reality, right? So he's holding all of these realities in a huge tree, and he's the middle of it, and he's taking care of it. So basically, it means without Loki, there's no multiverse. Without Loki, you don't get Tom Holland Spider-Man, you don't get Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, you don't get Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, you don't get any versions of anyone. But yeah, because of Loki. So the fact that he started off as a very small character, a villain, most of us thought that his end was back in Avengers 2012. That's it. He goes back to Asgard as a prisoner. But the fact that from that kind of person, from a villain, from a person full of jealousy, full of hate, full of mischief, and from a person who doesn't know his direction, becomes a prisoner in the TVA, becomes a Radiant and everything and all of that, and now he's the god who holds the multiverse. Every single being has to bow down to him. Even Thanos is nothing compared to Loki. So it's like a whole full circle. If you guys notice, the first episode of season 1, when Loki discovers that there are a bunch of time stones. There are a bunch of infinity stones in the drawer, and Casey says that some of the guys uses them as paper holders. And Loki turns around and looks at the TV and says, "Is this the biggest power in the entire universe?" When he turns and looks and says that, and now he is that, that's such a good ending, a really good conclusion, I would say. I really didn't expect that kind of an ending, you know. I just thought that oh, they're going to fix it and everyone's going to be happy. Maybe a few people get sacrificed and all that. But yeah, that was Loki. So yeah, kudos Marvel. I think you guys did a really, really good job with that part. You gave Loki such a glorious purpose, such a good closure for his story, I would say. But of course, I think we wouldn't see, that's not the end of Loki. I think there will be more of him, because there's still Avengers Secret Wars. So let's see how it's going to play out. Then we also have the TVA that is post all of this. So you get the text that says after, and B15 is B15, Casey, Ouroboros, Mobius. They are all fixing up the TVA, right? Changing the entire direction of the TVA. So ensuring not only the Secret Timeline runs in check, but all the branch timelines are also running in check, that everyone is safe and protected, especially from all of the variants of He Who Remains. Basically Kang lah. And you know, she checks with Mobius. Oh yeah, you have Miss Minutes who is rebooted, and you have like a brand new version of Miss Minutes. Hopefully it's a brand new version. And also she checks with Mobius, saying that do you have the report for all of the variants? So Mobius gives, I don't know how did he get the report, but they actually have a list of all of the Kang variants, and he mentions to B15 that there's actually B15 actually asked him, do any of them know about us? So do any of them know about the TVA? And he says no. So it means none of the Kang variants actually know about what He Who Remains built. They don't know about the TVA. But then if you have different versions of Kang, basically He Who Remains was the one who took and controlled the whole thing, right? So they don't know lah. All these Kangs are conquerors and dictators and such. But he did mention there's one in Earth 616 that caused the ruckus, but he was taken care of by them. So this is a direct indication of Kang the Conqueror from Ant-Man Quantumania. So basically, Kang was going to come out into Earth and try to dominate, conquer Earth, but Ant-Man defeated him. Ant-Man and his gang lah. So yeah, that was the one they were talking about. And then we see that B15 working with everyone in the war room. So B15 got such a good closure for her character herself, because from just an ordinary hunter that's following orders, now she's in one of the higher ranks that actually plans with the higher ranking people on how to run the TVA and how to ensure that all of the timelines are safe from the Multiversal War. So yeah, it was really good to see how her character developed that way. And we also see Ouroboros and Casey. Casey used to be in like the filing side, and Ouroboros used to be at the lower department doing all the engineering fixes, but now they are at the top of the TVA and running everything and fixing everything. So you have like new faces. These people experienced a lot and they know what's best for the TVA, and they're fixing it. Yeah, so then at the end it comes to Mobius. So of course Mobius says that he wants to retire. Finally he decides that he wants to see how his life could have been. So this has been a running plot line also right throughout the season, whether Mobius will find out how his life was. Will he ride the jet ski? So finally he decided, he just wanted to go and take a look. I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen, because he's just in a branch timeline, or branch timeline, where there's a version of him living life. So he just probably wants to see how it's going and enjoy it, you know. So until the fact that when Sylvie comes and asks him, what are you going to do? He just says that, I'm just going to stay here for a while, let time pass. So rather than working for time and make sure that time works, he just wants to let time pass and just enjoy watching how his life could have been. So I think it was all good closures for all of these characters lah. And the last final shot you see is Loki with all of the timelines, the branch timelines running, and Loki is just smiling, like a very painful smile, not a happy smile, not a glorious smile, but a very painful smile. The painful smile that indicates that I have to make the sacrifice. It was so painful that, I'm stuck over here forever, holding all the timelines together. But I'm happy to see my friends in the timeline, alive and well. Because he can hear, he knows what's going on all the timelines. And he's just glad that everyone's well. So, basically that's it. It ended. There was no end credit scenes or anything. I was really hoping to see any end credit scenes, but there was nothing. But a really sad way to end the series, but a really wonderful way to give so much of depth and character to Loki. So good job to Tom Hiddleston, good job to Marvel Studios crew. I really loved it. I think no other series can beat Loki. But if you guys have any other opinions, if you think there are other series that could beat Loki, you can leave your comments down below in our video. Let's have a small debate, because I love debating, and me and Harvin usually debate about these kind of things. If Sean is around, we debate more. If Sean and Eric, when they're around, when the whole gang is around, we actually debate a lot. But today I'm alone, so if you guys want to debate with me about anything, if you think that something is better than this, just leave in a comment below. Yep, so basically that's all from the Geek Street. I won't say that's all from us, because it's me alone again. Hopefully we'll see the rest of the gang for the Marvels, because the Marvels, like I mentioned, had just recently dropped. If you guys haven't catch it yet, please make sure to catch it in cinemas. I heard that it's good. I'm going to watch it soon, because I won't watch it also. Got no time lah. Like I said, Deepavali, so everyone's busy with Deepavali. So make sure to catch the Marvels, and also to catch our explainer video based on the Marvels. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the explainer video, not only for episode 6, but basically for all of the episodes of Loki season 2. We hope that you guys had enjoyed the journey of this whole series, because I really did enjoy it, and I'm very sad that it ended. And I'm talking so much. But please make sure to like and subscribe, and also hit the bell button icon below. Basically our YouTube video. You guys know, you guys are here, the Geek Street. Okay, make sure to recommend to your friends and family if you guys love the content that we do, the Geek Street. And we also have our Instagram page, the geekstreet.my. That is basically where we post all of our news. Our editor does a very tremendous job in posting every single time there are news. So please give a like in all of our posts. I'm not begging for likes, okay? I'm just saying to appreciate the hard work that our editor Harvin does. And also at the same time, we have our Discord community. The link is in our description below. So basically in our community, we talk anything Marvel, Star Wars, blockbuster movies, you name it, Jurassic Park, Transformers, everything. Okay, so make sure to join us in our Discord community, and we can't wait to see you guys there. So if there's nothing else, I hope to see you guys for the Marvels explainer, breakdown, and theory and everything. Okay, I'm going to go to bed. It's late at night. And also happy Deepavali, you guys. For those who are celebrating, for those who are not celebrating, please enjoy your holidays. For those who are working during the holidays, enjoy your work days lah. Okay, that's all from me. Till next time, this is the Geek Street, and the street has spoken. See you guys. Bye bye.